Now, today I'm going to demonstrate how I use AI tools to help not only me, myself, to teach, but also help my students to understand. The file that I just shared now is a file that I would like to fully share with you. I'll be using two different AI platforms to demonstrate how you can utilize them in your own capacity, and then how they can also help you to build up your overall presentation. To start with, I would like to look at some understanding of the diverse language proficiency in the classroom, so we understand the nature of how we should modify the learning and also the instructional languages so that the students can better understand us. So we all understand that the students enter the classroom with different levels of language proficiency. Some may be like very native likes, and while the others can be like English language learners, especially in the English as foreign language setting, who require additional support. So to accommodate those differences, we as instructors should modify learning materials and assessments. How do we do that? Here are four tips that I would like to share with you. And I'm going to also show you how I do it using AI later with our 40 minutes session. So the first one is to simplify the language. We aim to use clear, concise language in text and instructions. We want to avoid idiomatic expressions that may confuse the learners and with the limited language skills. Now, let's take one content, for example. Do we have any topic or contents that we want to talk about today? Anyone who wants to volunteer giving us some example here? Well, if not, yes. Do we have any?
Can we talk about the climate change?
Sure, why not? Climate change is something really nice. All right, so firstly, as you can see, I'm switched my page to ChatGPT for now. This is just a ChatGPT without advanced version. Let's see what it can do. So explain the concept of climate change. Okay, so here's what we got. Sorry. Climate change refers to long-term shifts or alterations in temperature, weather patterns. Wow, there are so many things up there, right? Okay, so here are some key elements of climate change: greenhouse gases, rising sea levels, extreme weather events, ocean acidification, ecosystems disruption, with human impact, with those consequences, with mitigation and adaptations. Let's just focus one at a time, okay? Okay, good job, ChatGPT. We have a lot of things being talked today. So I'm going to put everything we got today, including the prompt, right? So that you can all get this file later for your later use. Okay, so we want ChatGPT to explain the concept of climate change. And we got something like this, all right? Let's just focus one thing at a time as global warming today as a demonstration, okay? So let's go to the, let's focus on global warming climate change. Elaborate on that. Okay, so we got global warming. Mm. All right, so as you can see that it's still generating, and we can see lots of effects happening with the global warming. Okay, so here, let's have a quick poll. If you are using this as the material in your lesson, How many of you would find your students might struggle with the level of proficiency here? If that is a yes, can you please raise your hand? Mm-hmm. All right. We got 141 today. Among you, I got 20 hands up and still increasing. Seems like that we got 1/7. Oh, okay, more than that. All right. So we do have students struggling with these, right? So how can we do that, right? Let's try to lower the language proficiency level as if you are speaking to a beginner. Let's see what it goes. I see somebody's raising hands, or no? All right. Now let's see how it goes now. Do you find it easier for your students to understand? So we can compare these two parts. The previous one says that global warming is the gradual increase on the Earth's average surface temperature due to the rising levels of greenhouse gases, GHGs, in the atmosphere. It is a core aspect of climate change and has far-reaching effects on the environment, weather patterns, ecosystems, and human life. And now we got another version says that global warming is when the Earth's temperature gradually increases during certain gases in the atmosphere that trap heat. The warming is happening because of human activities like burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas, cutting down forests, and farming in ways that release harmful gases. Do you find it easier for your students for this version? If you feel so, can you raise your hand? All right. Well, that's promising, right? Because you definitely have, for today, what I demonstrate is that we just got a concept and we ask ChatGPT to generate, but you do have your textbook. What I always do is I use my phone to take a Photoshop of my textbook, and then on the like right bottom corner, you will see a little icon with 3 or 4 lines. That's where you can click it, and then your phone could help you to transfer that picture into the text-based data, where you can copy and paste to a Word or even to ChatGPT. And with that case, you throw your textbook text materials into ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT to try a lower language proficiency level. You can also give your prompt with other ways, saying, let's make this to some kids, okay? And then see how it goes with it. It can go, make it fun. Imagine that the world is wearing a blanket. Okay, I think that's a little bit too much. Normally, this blanket is just the right thickness to keep us cozy, but lately humans have been adding too much fluff to the blanket, making it way too thick. Okay, I think that's a little bit too much. But you can also do this. If you are familiar with Zephyr level, that is to say A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, then you can actually use that level as a prompt to ask ChatGPT to help you to adopt the text into a right level. Then, can you please type in the checkbox, tell me that the average English proficiency level of your students falls at? Is it like B1 or B2 or A1, A2? B2 is nice. A2 to B1 is the majority for now. Some of the students really falls into the category of A1. All right. All right. Yeah, that's is what I thought. So like like A2 to B1 is the majority. Okay. Then rewrite to fit to Zephyr A2 to B1 level. Okay, sorry, it's about a blanket. No, so let's stop here a little bit. I don't like the blanket one. No blanket. Let's use the first version. Okay, then you say, let's use this version. I think it's pretty much the same as the second attempt that we tried, right? Global warming is the slow increase on the Earth's average temperature because of gases in the atmosphere. These gases are called GHGs, and they trap heat from the sun. Global warming is a big part of climate change and has many effects on the environment, weather, animals, and people. Well, it's easier than the second version, right? Way easier than the first version. Okay, so here's what I do. On my Moodle, I always use Moodle. On my Moodle, I always give the students content with different version of the language used. So I say, if you can take a look, read the first one, but if you find that it's a little bit too difficult, you can try another one. In my class, I always do with two versions, and I will just simply tell them that I actually use ChatGPT to help me with this version. So there might be slightly, mistakes in there. If you ever find any, just let me know. But what I did this is trying to help you so that you can, get that easier to read and to understand the key concepts here. Okay? So that's basically what we have for the first session. Okay, I'm going to put that here so that you can always go back and go to see them. But now, saying that I got material up there, right? How can I help my students better? Well, I think that there are other ways to help your students better. The first one, apart from differentiated the language level, I'm going to just leave the link here so that for your further use, you can just go and retrieve everything there. Visual support, I would say textbook with the visual support are in high qualities. I do not recommend using ChatGPT to create any visual support as they still are in a very initial stages. But if you can find some good TikTok, good videos, or good pictures that they will help, that will be better. Varied formats will be something I like to tap on. Saying that we use the last version, okay? We use the last version. And then how can you help your students to scaffold them or to make them focus along the way while you are talking? Well, I find a lot of ways to help them, but among them, two ways are the most often used ones. The first one is make it into a bullet point style. Bullet point style. Bullet point style easier to read. Why I use bullet point style? It is because I understand not many students are very good at reading, especially in a language that they are not familiar with. With these easier breakdown, like one bullet point at a time, you can reduce down their cognitive load when it comes to reading, right? And with those easier to understand phrases up there, you actually give them some focal points to read upon. So that is one thing that I often use. So apart from different levels of writing, I also provide a kind of way that the students can read with this bullet point style. Okay, that is something that you can do. And there's one more thing I would like to show you, which is the Cornell method. Okay, let's make this into a Cornell method note taking. Okay. All right. Now, what you can do is to share this Cornell method note taking to them while you are delivering your class. Let's say when we have this, you are having this note taking complementary to what? The textbook, right? And also the material given on the Moodle that you help them to, lower down the language proficiency up there, right? So all of these are a complementary method for them to get focus at what they should be at when you are delivering. Okay, so here we have, some overall Q column. If you understand what Cornell note taking is about, you understand the Q column is on the left column, and then with the note taking columns is on the right. With the left and right, the proportion is about 3:7 or 2:8. Okay, so you can actually remake them according to the Cornell method. As I'm doing now, I am inserting a table, okay, where I can do like this, okay? So Cornell method should go like this. So with ChatGPT here, Cornell method should look like, topic should be up front, okay? And then details should be on the right. And summary should be on the bottom. And the button should merge cells. So it should be like here. Okay. This can also be a handout that you pass out to the students. All right. So what's even better is that you can do something to make them really focus. All right. So you can have greenhouses effect, guesses like, okay, what I'm going to do is to put a little blank, a little something here. I'm putting these here, and then with let's do it like this, okay? So here, what you can do is this. You can ask them, especially when you are writing on the blackboard, right? You can ask them to fulfill these blanks, but you are also providing them some scaffoldings here so that they will not be too lost. Okay, so here's something that you can also do to keep them engaged with if your class is basically a lecture-based part, you can always do that, right? Okay, so that's how you can use ChatGPT to help your students to engage. Okay, this can also be something like a Google form that students, when they are attending your classroom, you can just ask them to submit some answers when you are asking questions. That can be one, or it could be some collaborative platforms that you can invite them to submit some of the answers here. So does this look familiar to you? Of course, because when we're getting our junior high, high school, secondary education, we're always being trained like that. But it's for like higher education instructors. When we're doing this for students, we find it too overwhelming. It's a lot of work, right? So you might not want to do those that much. So if you understand how this works, you can do it by yourself. You can design the process of how you want to engage your students in a really interactive way, just using some clicks, some prompts to ChatGPT. or you can even ask your teaching assistant to help you do with this, okay? One more thing to tap on is that on the left, the cue should align with the details here. So I'm just copy and paste here, but you need to review it one more time so that the detail of global warming, the cue, should go with the definition, causes, or whatever it should be to the right. Okay? So that's how I use ChatGPT every day to help to break down the ideas of my students, even with the complex ideas presented from the textbook. You can always break that down. All right. So let's try to do one more thing. Saying that you are a teacher and you got all these, right? But I want you to understand that the material generated, whether it's from textbooks or from Jen and I, are not colloquial language. Okay? Those are not the language that you say out loud every day. What you say out loud with your class should be something called teacher talk. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm asking ChatGPT to generate a teacher talk based on. All right, do you see that? So with a teacher talk that you generate here, you got something really natural for you to practice. All right. So what you can do is that you can practice ahead of the class one time. I think one time will be enough so that you can have a like imagination of how you will be carrying on your EMI classes based on this topic. And then although when you are trying to deliver that in your class, you may not use the exact words that being planned here, but it wouldn't harm, right? It actually gives you some idea of how you can try to address yourself in a warmer, nicer, and really friendly style. Okay, because I noticed that a lot of the teacher, when they are using the language in the classroom, it is because that they do not have that kind of understanding, so they kind of like repeat what's written on the textbook, and that make things very hard to approach. And sometimes it's not that confident because they realize that they just read out loud the textbook, right? So they are not that confident enough. So let's take a look at what's in the teacher's talk. So you got, all right, class. Today we're going to talk about global warming with the italic style. You know that there's something you want to pause a little bit and you want to give them a look, right? Or you want to use your hand gesture, point out to the textbooks, the place where, or there's a big picture that you show them on the projector. And then with a teacher talk, you actually give lots of rhetoric usage to grab their attention. So you ask questions. Those questions doesn't mean that you're really asking them questions, but the questions is to gather their attention. That's called rhetoric questions. So you say, so what exactly is global warming? Well, it's the increase in the Earth temperature. Okay, now with this, that comes to our uh, this session, visual support. If we are having a teacher talk here, as you're practicing, can you imagine that some of the visual supports that you can put in here, right? Global warming, we got a word up there, right? Is the increase of the Earth's temperature. So you might be thinking that you will give them a chart, right? That actually gives them the statistics of the recent year, well, I don't know, maybe in a decade or in 2 decades, to show them that there is a significant increase in the Earth temperature, okay? And you continue to explain this happened because of something called greenhouse gases. Again, the terminology is up there, greenhouse gases. Then you explain. These are gases that come from things like a picture, burning fossil fuels. Then you got a power plant, right? You got those smokes up there. That's where you burn fossil fuels. You know, like the fuel that we use for cars and factories. So you got some other pictures, and even from activities like farming, right? These gases get trapped in our atmosphere. So the atmosphere doesn't mean the atmosphere in the restaurant, but the atmosphere of the Earth, the globe Earth, and make the Earth warmer. Okay? Now, global warming is a big problem, right? For example, dun, 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 it also takes dun, 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 wind, sea, things like that. So as you can see, if you analyze the teacher talk, it is well structured with very easy organization that students can have a clear understanding by some techniques like add on, right? It also makes, right? Add on, or sometimes compare and contrast, right? So this is also something I oftentimes use when I'm thinking about delivering my idea, but I am not really confident about what to do. Here's where I consult my ChatGPT. And today I'm using a ChatGPT with a free version. Any version could do, all right? So that's something that you might want to do. Now, you it might actually bring you to the second part of the day, saying that yes, it seems like ChatGPT could help me with simplifying the language. Visual support, I may look somewhere else, right? But we can look at the teacher talk and think about how we can put visual supports there. And then varied formats, audio, video, written. Do you know that there is with Google there is called it's called Note LTM or Note LM. Actually, you can actually put everything up there, and that they can provide different kind of formats to help you to generate lots of learning pieces. Like if we are putting this up there, they can not only produce that into a like human voice reading, but also you can make that into podcast, like two people are discussing, or make a lot of different styles of audios up there. Due to the time constraint, we're not looking at that today because I want you to, we got curriculum, we got instruction. I want to capture these two essence here today with our talk. But later on, I think that it's definitely worth of paying a visit to Note LM to see that how they can help us to convert with various formats so that we can help different, learning preference students. We talked about bullet points, we talked about note taking, we talked about having some blanks so that students can, follow up with what we are doing in the classroom, right? Or you can even leave the summary part, ask them to write the summary, right? Okay. Assessment options, that's something that we can look at the other day. But I have to say, every task that you want students to do in your classroom, they're also assessments, okay? Simply by fulfilling these blanks can be served as one of the assessments, formative assessments that you use. Now let's take a look at how to use AI to upgrade the oral presentation, the oral instruction, saying that we want to, present ourselves better. I just demonstrate how to revise the content into a teacher talk. Now I am making my new class just for you for today, that its name is using AI to upgrade your EMI oral instruction. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be locked out a little bit. Is to invite you, okay? As we have many students today, I'm going to download this. So this is also, I'm showing you this because we're also promoting the use of this AI platform. So as teachers, if you're interested, you can always use that in your class to help your students prepare for the lesson. Okay, so what I am about to demonstrate also applies to the same situation to you and your students. But now I am taking you as my students, okay? So you can experience how this can function, okay? So we got lots of emails up there. What you need to do is you need to go to your email account and then to check if you got an email from Sensei with the link given, you'll be guided to finish the registration process. If you encounter any difficulties, just type in the checkbox and we will try our best to help you. Meanwhile, I'm going to make more demonstration about the lesson that you can use here. As you can see, I put in a lesson with climate change. Under that, you can create exercise. You can create as many exercises as you can. I'm going to do it one by one. Let's go back to the teacher talk here as we are preparing for teacher talk. Well, let's see. Are there any words that you want to practice before? Oh, let's say the word temperature might be a word that you talk over again, right? So let's do with temperature. And then where I look at is Arctic and Antarctica. Let's go just with some examples, just goes with Antarctica. As you can see, I am selecting the type of reading. So if you successfully joined, that on your list of the class, you supposedly will be having 2 reading texts for you. As you go in, you might also see that words up there, and you can see an icon that you can play to listen to a native speaker like sound so that you can imitate, you can repeat after. If you fail to register, you can also use this pin, but the pin will not record your process. But if you fail to register today, or you feel like you don't want to, you can simply by using this pin. Okay? I'm also copy the link for you to try a little bit. Okay? So as you got the pin, then it asks you to put down your name, easy as that, no more. And then is, I don't know whether you can see my screen, not really. On my screen is, hello Sonia, press record and read me out loud. And then there's a word temperature up there. And then there's a play button. There is also a slower down speed button, right? And I listen to that. Temperature. It's a man's sound, right? It's a man's voice. And then again, oh, it's a lady's voice. And then what I need to do is to tap down record and then allow your microphone to temperature. And then don't forget to submit. With that, you instantly get feedback on the system. Like me, I got a smiley, starred eyes faced with a score of 96. The pronunciation is 98 and the fluency is 100, things like that. So we're not saying that you're rating yourself at all times, but do you consider that these ratings will give you some confidence, right? It says, it actually states that you are ready for this, right? So when you're doing EMI, use this as something that you can practice. I would like to move on to the teacher talk. We just practice one word, right? But apparently we need more. Can we practice the whole part? Can we practice the whole part about global warming? Of course. So what you can do here is, let me just do this. Okay. So I'm going to save this and you will get this task. Okay. So what you will see is that you will have the whole paragraph being read by that AI, but it doesn't really sound like AI. It sounds pretty much like a human being, right? And then, firstly, by reading it and listen to it, you kind of like prepare yourself, and then it's your turn to practice. Okay, so you can do that in a phrasal level. You can also do that with a like paragraph level. Depends on the command of your English proficiency that you can do. All right. I would like to show you something more. Okay, it says that. Okay, we are all using reading part. If you got an image, you can put your image here and describe that image. Graph, charts, they are all very useful when it comes to description, especially in an academic setting. So you can just put it there and try to explain that. Question with answer or question will be something that I use very often. Let's go back to the teacher talk. So here, with this first paragraph, we're actually talking about the definition of global warming, right? So you can actually ask a question. What's the definition of global warming? Ah. Or you can simply ask, what's global warming, right? What's global warming? Try to explain that. So the question is, what's global warming? Okay. So if you have something that you really want to address, put them here, right? Because here there are some concepts that we want to address, right? So they are like words like temperature. There are greenhouse gases that you want to introduce to your students. Fossil fuels, if you feel like to. Atmosphere, let's say, okay? Then atmosphere. And with that, you will get a people who's asking you, what's global warming? And then you will be explaining those using the concepts required, right? To answer to the questions as if that you are really delivering that in front of your student. But the system will rate you according to the content because you put in some necessary content up there, right? So you don't need to memorize everything, but you can actually use it more freely. So as you can see with this platform, you can start with a very controlled practice to a guided practice, all the way to a very open practice. So it depends on what kind of practice that you need and you prefer at the time. You can actually make a very good use of this platform. Okay, so I am putting everything here for your own use since that you're also registered into the Sensei platform. What I'm going to show you for the last part is you can always assign self-practice to your students or to yourself, okay? So it can be anything. So that students, when they got a self-practice, they can actually make this practice to either any of the ways of practice listed above here so that they can use by themselves. I didn't mention video. You can also put in a video, like watching a video. Tell me what you saw, right? There is a video about climate change, right? Name 3 important things that you learned from this video. You can actually put a video up there and you ask your students to highlight, to summarize, to paraphrase, or to raise questions, right? So with these AI powered engine, practice English for you or your students won't be very difficult. And especially they can use their own time within their own space where they find it secure and use their own style to do it as many times as they could, right? So I'm going to put this workshop to the end here, where I'm leaving you all the resources up there with the document, with the Sensei account. I'm looking forward to future communications or talk based on what you have today or what you want to know more. We'd also have a satisfaction survey. So if you would like to tell us something, feel free to do so on the platform. We look forward to seeing you in the near future. Thank you. Thank you so much.